Hey Tony, it's Friday, and first off, to answer your question of the week, I have some ideas for the session. It's not so much specifically to each character, but I do have some ideas, and I think they're going to be pretty fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the team's going to want to do with them. I want to leave it fairly open-ended, so the team can deal with. There will be a bunch of problems that pop up roughly the same time. The team will have to somehow figure out a way to handle that, and that's on them. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. I said I don't have anything specific for Travis or specific for any other characters, but I have a general idea, and I'm going to be working the next X amount of time before we play to really get a good idea on whether it be Labor Day or a little bit before. We'll see. I don't know yet. I really can't make any promises, so we'll see. So what I want to talk about this week is actually it's not exactly revisiting a previous video, but it is revisiting a project that I worked on a long time, like 2 years ago, that I never finished it up, and I'm going to start working on it again. So one thing that you know about me and everyone who knows me knows is I love starting projects. I am great at starting projects. I get a lot of work done at the start. I know exactly where everything goes, but I'm terrible at finishing projects. So I'm sure you've seen the meme, and it's like, have an idea, set up ideas for the project, finish project, have an idea, but the meme itself is, skips the finish the project and just keeps going around in that circle. I mean, I can think off the top of my head right now at least 5 projects that I started or wanted to start or did some work to initially start and then did nothing on it. It's because it's a real issue I have, and I love brainstorming and coming up with ideas. I consider myself a real idea person, but I frequently have issues following through if it's only me who's actually working on it, or if no one's holding me accountable for the idea. Well, this time I think I'm gonna have some people to hold me accountable for the idea. So do you remember 2 years ago, back when I was still, a puny young little 3L with hope in his eyes and hope for a better world? You know, 2018. um, but I was going to be working on a Fallout inspired podcast known as the Wasteland Diaries. I did a whole video where I read the first episode off, um, and I did a lot of work on it. Recorded the episode. I looked up intellectual property law. I spoke to an attorney on intellectual property to make sure, like, hey, I'm not going to be breaking any laws with this, right? Set up an entire storyline, an entire location of where they're going to go from Las Vegas to Boston. Set up the route and everything, and then never followed through. Well, with help of Taylor, Jay, and one of our dearest friends, John, the four of us, we're going to be talking today on this, but the four of us are going to work together to make this podcast work, to make this podcast a thing. Because I've been thinking for a long time now, like, I was really kicking myself a little bit in the butt because I did a lot of work on this and then never followed through. And have everything set up, we have an idea in place, and I never followed through with it because I recorded the first episode. It got edited, and then I never uploaded it. I never made another one. I never kept working on it. And it's something I really want to do because it's something I'm still pretty passionate about. Now, granted, like, life happened and this vanity project completely got left to the side, but I'm really, really hopeful that I'm going to be able to get it now. So it's not that I have more or less time than I did back then. I definitely have less time, but I also have less going on. I have less things that I'm involved in. Now it's pretty much just like work, go home, occasionally go to Amtgard, occasionally play RPGs, but it's different, and I'm really hoping that this time for real I'm able to actually get this podcast started and get this story, because it's a story I've known the plot for literal years now. I've known what the events that are going to happen. I know when they're going to happen, more or less. But I never completed. I never followed through. I never got past that initial stage. Well, it's time for me to get past that initial stage It's time for me to make this project work. So, Tony, my question for you is what are some projects that you've worked on that, or have had the idea for that just never got off the ground? Or did it get off the ground and you just kind of abandoned them shortly through, like I frequently do? Tony, I'll see you on Wednesday. Later, bro.